Hello and welcome into today's edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. My name is Kevin Hicks. I'm the lead beat writer for Arizona State Sun Devils on SI, and I am so grateful to be joining you today. We are now 7 weeks away from Arizona State football kicking off the 2025 season, most anticipated start to the season that we have seen in some time, probably even more anticipated than 2021, 2015, and some others. Uh, Arizona State is going to head into the season as a top 25 team, probably even a top 15 team in the preseason AP poll. They are in prime position to win another Big 12 championship, reach the college football playoff again, and continue to build themselves as a national brand. That's not to say that they aren't a national brand. They are fairly recognizable everywhere. But I'm talking about getting into the Clemson tier. That is very, very tough to actually attain, but it is attainable nonetheless. And we'll see what happens once the season starts on August 30th against Northern Arizona. So, in the spirit of that, ESPN and Bill Connolly released their preseason Big 12 projections. And I just wanted to take a look over some of the stuff and elaborate on some of the stuff a little bit. So, yeah, 2025 projections. We all know the first part is talking about returning starters, continuity, all that stuff. Arizona State returns almost 80% of their starters. Every single coach returned from last season, at least coordinator and position coach wise. So they are set up to be great. Um, Kansas State, as of right now, projected to be the favorite in the Big 12 according to ESPN Analytics, SP Plus, and all of that. One thing that caught my attention is that Arizona State is projected to have the 136th ranked special teams unit even after acquiring Jesus Gomez from Eastern Michigan in the transfer portal to be the kicker. That is a little interesting to me. I don't think that the special teams unit will be bottom three in FBS. There's only 138 programs in the football bowl subdivision right now. I do not believe that they will be that low. I think that that's very curious as a placement, but we'll see what happens. They're projected to have the 26th ranked offense and the 27th ranked defense, so that would roughly place them in the top 25 range for the season. So we'll see. And let's look at some win totals and percentages. So Arizona State is projected to be tied for second in the conference with Brigham Young, 5.7 conference wins, 9.7, no, 10.1% chance to win the conference. BYU's at 9.7, Texas Tech's at 9.7. So they're every team in the Big 12 has at least a 2% chance to win the conference. Even Arizona has a 2.9% chance. Even Houston, 2.7% chance. So SP Plus believes that the conference will be fairly wide open, actually very wide open, because half the conference has at least a 6% chance to win. Arizona State has a 6.9% chance to get 11 or more wins. That is third in the conference. BYU is at 7.2. And then they're almost a shoe-in to get 6 or more wins, 97% chance. So some of these figures are very fascinating. Feels like the metrics still aren't giving Arizona State the respect they deserve, aren't necessarily giving Arizona State the respect they deserve. But the games have to be played ultimately, so projections can say one thing and completely different thing can transpire, as we saw last season, with Arizona State being projected to be one of the weaker teams in the Power Four. They end up taking college football by storm and finishing the season in the top 10 of the AP poll. So things can change in an instant. We will play it by ear and see what happens. So Arizona State does have one game that Connolly ranks inside the top five for conference games this season. The other four are Iowa State, Kansas State, week 0 in Dublin, Ireland. That's going to be a tone setting game. TCU, Kansas State, Texas Tech, Kansas State, and Kansas State, Utah. So Kansas State is well endowed in this top five. They're in 4 of the 5 matchups, so obviously the analytics are a big fan of Kansas State. We'll see what happens there. But the 5th game is Texas Tech at Arizona State, October 18th, week 8. That could be a college game day game. Both teams could be heading into that game with either 0 or 1 loss on the record. And let's read what he has to say. The defending champ against the offseason's buzziest team. The Red Raiders took down ASU in Lubbock, Texas last season 30-22, but it was well before the Sun Devils found 5th gear. Which team will be in proper midseason form for this one? And yes, that is very, very true. Texas Tech handled Arizona State in their Big 12 debut last season. Texas Tech did improve on paper from last season, but Arizona State's at home. Arizona State has more continuity, and Arizona State has Sam Levitt. Texas Tech has Baron Morton. So we'll see. We will know what is coming by the week of October 18th, but it feels as if Arizona State should have the inside track to win that game, at least right now. But obviously, I said it before, I'll say it again, the games have to be played. You can project things all you want, but you have to go out and win the game. Let's see a little bit about what Connolly had to say about Arizona State. He listed them as a true contender in the Big 12 and as a true college football playoff contender. Let's see what he has to say. It was clear from the start of the 2024 season that Arizona State was better than expected. The Sun Devils were projected 79th in SP+, but overachieved against projections in 5 of the first 7 games and had risen to 52nd heading into November. There was no reason to think of them as playoff contenders. They were 5-2 primarily because of tight wins over both decent Kansas, Utah, Texas State, and bad Mississippi State teams, but this was already an undeniably successful campaign for a program that had gone 6-18 over the previous 2 seasons. Arizona State obviously had grander plans. Over the final 7 games, the Sun Devils overachieved against projections by 18.2 points per game, winning their last 5 regular season games, thumping Iowa State in the conference championship, and coming within 1 play of beating Texas in the CFP. Their incredible surge showed us exactly the kind of fun storylines that can emerge in an era of expanded playoff, where teams can have a lot to play for even after a couple of losses. Let's look. Quarterback Sam Levitt was almost as good as Scadaboo down the stretch. From November onward, he ranked 3rd nationally in total QBR despite major injury issues in his receiving corps. He rarely puts the ball in a dangerous spot, and he's a fantastic scrambler. He gets leading receiver Jordan Tyson back along with tight end Shimon Mateer, but Tyson needed more help than he got last season. And the number 2 leading receiver Malik McClain caught just 2 passes. Among McClain, veteran transfer Jalen Moss from Fresno State, and maybe young blue chip transfers Noble Johnson from Clemson and Jaron Hamilton from Alabama. New weapons need to emerge out wide. And before we wrap up today's show, let's look at the defense. Obviously, we need that defense love. Even with less obvious star power, the defense was just as responsible for ASU's late season surge as the offense. And of the 17 defenders with at least 200 snaps last season, a whopping 14 returned. Tackle CJ Fight made 12 run stops, a huge total for a 310-pounder. And edge Elijah O'Neal made 12.5 tackles for loss, and corners Keith Abney II and Javon Robinson combined for 6 interceptions and 17 breakups last season. The pass rush was merely decent and will need to improve, but depth and experience will be major strengths. So the narrative is pretty much that Arizona State has the talent to run it back and repeat what was done last season, but they actually have to go out and prove it because they were a great team for about a third of the season and a solid team for the rest of the season. So I agree with that. Personally, I believe the ceiling of this team is extraordinarily high. But less than 2 months away from the season beginning, almost exactly 7 weeks, and couldn't be more honored to cover this team in the 2025 season. And yeah, that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Please follow me on X/Twitter at KX_21 if you get the opportunity to do so. And I will see you tomorrow.